Hey everybody, this is Greg Siskind. I'm joined by Josh Sinnott. We probably will be joined by a couple of other colleagues here at VisaLaw.ai, but we're going to show you around a little bit on Gen, our first generative AI product. Give you a little bit of a tour for that. We'll see if we have a. We didn't really spend a lot of energy publicizing this live stream. But we will, if we have visitors, we will have a. Oh, it says we have 17 people already watching.
Yeah.
All right. If we have questions, we will try and answer them. See, Jason is just popping in. Hey, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Good.
Jason and Josh Wardell may be joining us or maybe not. So I was just saying we're going to do a little tour of Gen, and if we have questions. For those that are watching, if you have if you want us to try out something, if you have a question on something, not understanding something, feel free to post. If you are watching this in LinkedIn, you just make a comment in LinkedIn, and it will show up for us here. If you're on YouTube, same story. If you're on my Twitter feed, same story. And we will do our best to answer some of those questions. So I am going to switch over to a share screen and show you guys Gen. Okay, let me just go to the front page here. So Josh and Jason, are you seeing everything on the screen?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so Gen is basically this is the dashboard after you log in. Actually, the first time you log in, you have to sign a couple of disclaimers about understanding what generative AI is and making sure that you remember that you're still supposed to be a lawyer. You are still supposed to, when you get an answer to a question, one of the beauties of Gen is that we will give you the citations and give you the easy way to check whether the answer is what it's supposed to be. But that's one of the first things we remind people of, is that you still have your ethical obligations. But basically, when you log into Gen, you'll see the four main areas of its functionality: legal research, private GPT, document Q&A, and summarize. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that. But first, I'll show you the library. We're going to talk about legal research first. So legal research is what it sounds like. You can ask a question, immigration law questions, and it will give you answers from a fairly extensive library that we have built out in collaboration with the American Immigration Lawyers Association. And that library also has a extensive primary set of primary law resources. So you can ask it questions, but you can also ask it to do other types of things other than answering questions. So you might have wanted to build out for you a client memo. You might ask it to build out for you a checklist, questionnaire forms, that kind of thing. And hopefully I'll have a chance to show you that. As far as the library goes, the law library itself is it's probably, I don't know, probably 100,000 pages of materials that are in there that's constantly being updated. I will tell you that it has 15 AILA books in there, including the AILA, the Practice and Procedures Manual, the cookbook that I'm a co-author on with Ari Sauer. It also has the Allen House books, which includes things like Jason and I co-write a book on startup visas for founders. There's an I-9 book. There's a book on physician immigration. And then we have just everything that we can find that's publicly available on under primary law. But you'll have the ability, I believe there's a tab for you in the that you can see what's in there on any given time. But that's and you can also see like what's recently been added. So for example, this week we had an FAQ that came out from the State Department on the renewal of H-1B visas in the United States, and that's a new policy. Visa bulletins, things like that just came out. So we're looking every day for like the latest that's coming out. But I will tell you also something that we are hopefully going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks, which is a scraping functionality where the main government websites, we will have a bot essentially that will be monitoring it, and every couple of days will add anything that's been added to the state USCIS page, the State Department, the travel.state.gov page, any of the pages where there's information that immigration lawyers need. That's going to be something that is going to be automated so that if we don't have to worry about having missed something, it will happen automatically. That will be added to Gen. So let's go into chat, which is where the would start out using that. So if you go into chat, it's very similar to ChatGPT. If you click on a new chat, you can see basically a little bot window. You can click which categories you want it to use to inform the answer. So it's important to note that unlike ChatGPT, you're only under legal research. The information is coming strictly from our library, and it's not going out on the internet and pulling stuff, which is one of the ways that we reduce the problems with false answers coming in. We do that in a couple other ways as well. One is that another is that we have something called temperature, which is a functionality with generative AI that all generative AI is doing is it's guessing what the next word should be based on training on millions and millions of documents. So it's usually quite good at that. But the more distance between words that it's guessing as far as what the next word might be, the higher the temperature. And sometimes ChatGPT's default temperature is 7 on a scale of 10. It's designed to be creative, and you may have noticed that ChatGPT always has an answer, even if it has no idea what the real answer is. It will give you an answer. We've set ours to 0, which means it's super conservative. And if it doesn't have, if it doesn't see the answer, it will say it doesn't see the answer, and it may try and give you some other helpful information on the subject. But it will tell you it doesn't have the materials in our library to answer the question the way the person's wanting it to, which is what you want. You don't want it just making things up. The other thing it will do is, obviously, I'm going to show you in a second, is it will give you citations and links to those citations and previews of where you can actually see the document that it's citing from, as well as blurbs. So you'll see in a second, but let's just do a quick, simple one. This is our a test question that we have that will J1 non-immigrant who received U.S. government funding qualify for a 212E waiver with a no objection letter? And you'll start to see it build out the answer. Give it a few seconds here, but this is a pretty typical one, and I can show you one that I just asked. Somebody just asked me yesterday a question. But anyway, you hear, so this is the answer, the basic answer. And then if you want to see where it's coming from, the how the answer came about, it'll show you both the primary law. It's coming from the CFR, Foreign Affairs Manual, as well as 2 different books. One is a book called the Academic Immigration Handbook, written by a law partner of ours, Adam Cohen. And what you can see in here is a blurb from the book that you can read this to see if it looks like it's on track for giving you the answer. And then you can click and get a preview of the actual document that it's coming from, and takes you to the actual page in the book where that text is coming from. So you can see why that's going to be more reliable than if you were just basically relying on ChatGPT, where you have no idea where the answers came from. The categories, again, you can select which ones you want. We are making different prompts, which we'll talk about in a second, for different libraries of information that we have. So now, like, for example, AILA is giving us practice management materials. So we have a separate prompt for that, and that's put out somewhere else because it's not legal research. And the same prompt that's used to get a good answer, like what we were just showing you, is not necessarily the right one for practice management. Same with ethics, same with physicians, same with I-9. So that's why we're dividing it out that way. And you should remember that when you are going in and getting your, when you're asking a question, that you're making sure that the right materials are being sourced for it. Here's another one that I asked yesterday, just a very simple one. Does a person in the U.S. and visitor status ever need to file a tax return in the U.S.? And that was something somebody actually just asked me. And I took international tax in law school, but that's about the, I haven't thought about it a whole lot since, but it gave a fairly basic answer on that, and then gave the places where that information is held. So that's how that works. But you could in this one, or any of them actually, just say that can you can ask it to do something. It's, can you write up a checklist of the documents I would need from a client to seek a no objection letter, and hopefully it'll give that. What I have found is sometimes on the follow-up, if it's not understanding it the way that you want, usually the best thing you can do is just retweak the question and it'll do that. But here you go. You can see, it'll build it out for you afterwards. So the way to think about this is that you're, really having a conversation with the AI in a lot of these cases, where the first question is just the first one. Maybe it's easier to think of it as you're delegating, you're working with an associate or a law clerk or a paralegal, and you may ask them to, the first thing you want them to do is do a little bit of checking on the law, and then say, okay, so this is the way we thought it was. So now write this out as a client memo, or come up with a checklist, or come up with a questionnaire form for what we need from the client, and that kind of thing. Okay. Let's see if I don't think we have any questions yet. All right. So going back to Jen, let's go back to the dashboard. Guys, do you have any things you want to add to that?
I was going to say, I think you covered the majority of it. That was kind of what I was going to say as well, is just making sure. The only other thing I could think of is for context, when people click into it, they also get the 10 pages above and below. It's not just the singular page, so they can see the context in which it pulled that from as well. That was kind of the only thing I could think of that you didn't mention.
Okay. Let's go into document Q&A. So document Q&A, and you'll see these things all kind of function in a very similar way. So it's basically, they're doing different things, but document Q&A is where users can actually upload their own documents and be able to interact with them in different ways. So you could, when you're uploading a document, you'll see on here that you just click and upload, and it will take you to a familiar screen for uploading documents. You upload it, and you'll give it a little bit of a profile, not too much, and then you will start to be able to ask questions on it. So let's just say we said new chat, document Q&A, similar to what we were doing before with that. And then you would pick which particular document in your personal library that you were going to be using. So by the way, this is one thing that I think will be reversed this week, where it will default to nothing checked instead of default to everything checked on there. So that's something to look forward to as far as that goes. But let's say you are wanting to do, you have a memo on I-9 M&A regs. You could load there, and then under the prompt library, these are prompts that we built in. And you can choose which ones you want, and we're going to be adding hopefully to them pretty frequently, but the things that you want. But it's probably going to be the first one in a lot of cases where you're just asking it questions. So you might be just uploading a FOIA response. You might be uploading a a case that just got decided, I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of things you can upload and where you're going to want it to ask questions of it. So, and then you would just ask here the same way. And you can also write your own prompts, which I think is important as well. So, for those that are used to writing prompts with ChatGPT, or Bard or elsewhere, you have the ability to do that here on your own documents and not just what it's going to find out online. And right now, it's there's really a ton of use cases that people can use it for, and we're hoping to get feedback from our users on what they want to use and what they don't. But that is for a lot of firms, that's going to be probably something in terms of knowledge management. Really all these, all this research you've done, or all these templates that you have that are that you want your colleagues to be able to work with. You can upload them into your personal library and be able to use them in all kinds of ways. And hopefully folks will give us some good examples of ways that they're using it. So, for example, the RFE analysis was one that a couple firms told us they were doing in ChatGPT. Obviously, it's one difference is between ChatGPT and ours is the privacy part of it. So in ChatGPT, as sort of the general rule, there are ways to change settings to prevent it from happening, but you also lose out on other functionality. But if you want to put in client information into an AI, and you're doing it in one of the public LLMs like ChatGPT or Bard, you are, potentially violating your ethics requirements, because the information you're putting in is training the language model, and also potentially humans are doing quality control checks and may see client information in there. So that's a reason why you might want to be using an app like this. But so that's in the upload files, that's what you're doing as well. But you can also use Private GPT. Private GPT is basically solving the problem that I was just mentioning, which is maybe you do want to go out on the internet and look for answers to, look to have that same kind of conversation you would have ChatGPT, but maybe you want to put client information in and you don't want to have to worry about the ethics problems. So we've made a mode where you can, what we call Private GPT, which essentially has a similar functionality to what you're used to with the chatbot over at ChatGPT. The last thing I'll show in terms of functionality is Summarize. And this is one that I think a lot of firms will probably use regularly, just because it's there's a lot of functionality that it has in here. But basically, summarization is what it sounds like. You can upload a document. So, for example, here is the H-1B proposed rule that came out a couple months ago. It's a 227-page document, and you, if you upload it, you have some control over how it's going to. Let's just say I'll pick one document from here. And you can see that you can have some control over how much detail the summary has. So you can have it just a couple paragraph summary of a long document. You can have one, an exhaustive summary that's doing a summary of every single page in the document, or you can do a summary that's more detailed, where you're doing it in chunks essentially with a few pages at a time, but you actually can control how many are going to be there. So let's go back to the H-1B proposed rule, and you can see what it would look like here. This summary actually was done a couple months ago. So one thing we fixed is to make the formatting look a little bit nicer. But the text is actually quite good. And this is actually one of the things that generative AI does really well, is summarization, which is not surprising because it's a language model. And that's what it's best at, is working with language. You also have the ability to upload documents that are in a foreign language. So this is the French Declaration on Human Rights. And you can have it translate for you the document and give you a summary in English. So this is what that detailed summary would look like of that document as well. So, as immigration lawyers, obviously a big use case might be to have instead, before you send things out for translation and pay a lot of money, you might do an upload, get a summarization to see what's in there, figure out if that's a document that you really need to have translated or not, and then send it out. So I am going to switch back over and for now, but we can continue sharing. There's somebody asking a question on DB 2021. Josh, I told you that was going to happen.
Yeah.
This is not impact litigation. I do that live stream also regularly, but I knew that somebody was going to come here from that. Will I provide access to this video after you're done streaming? Okay, so yes, this is going to be sitting on our YouTube channel. It's also going to be shared with our LinkedIn channel, and then it's also going to be where you're watching it right now will still be there. So yes, and we also are going to be doing these hopefully regularly. We are adding in and I guess that we can talk a little bit about how users are being added in. So we had I don't know, it was close to 2,000 people that signed up.
Just about
for participating and signed up as potential customers and wanting to be invited to sign up when the product became available. We have we decided we didn't want to have all 2,000 people invited in at the same time, lest we find that and even if the small, so we've been doing it in waves, and even with the small number that's come in, it's been a big learning experience since we released it last week about issues that people need help with in terms of getting onboarded. So we anticipated making it, bigger and bigger groups that we can add in over the next several weeks, and hopefully by over the next month or two, that a pretty big chunk of our people who've signed up will have access to the product. But that's the way that's working for right now. So that's that's what's going to be happening. In terms of these live streams, we'll probably try and do them once a week. I mean, right now, we think probably the most interest is going to be by people that are actually using the product, that will want these live streams to answer questions that they have or see demos of things that they want to try out. And we're happy to do that. But that's so probably we haven't decided on an exact schedule, but probably Monday afternoons might be a good one. And then we'll see there. And we'll also be recording a lot of videos of different use cases, so that and hopefully have basically a video library of trying out, so that you can see things demonstrated for you rather than having to always guess. But one of the best things about products like these is if you like to experiment and you're a tinkerer, you will find that you can potentially get a lot of really interesting results. One other tip I'll tell you is that the way you ask a question, some people say, oh, I asked this question, it didn't really give me the greatest answer. And then we'll look at that and we will kind of tweak the question a little bit and find that we can get actually a much better answer than the one it came up with initially. One functionality that we're looking to add is actually something where the bot will suggest language that will produce better results than your own guessing on there. And that's something that that OpenAI has the ability to do, and we're working on adding that functionality. So I don't think I have anything else that I want to add for today. Josh and Jason, I don't know if there's anything that you want to mention, but hopefully,
only thing I can think of was the use cases already being on the Visa Law website, where we do have a good amount.
Quite a few. Actually, let me see if I can find those and I can show people what's available.
And these are just kind of the floor of, stuff that we've discovered. Again, kind of like Greg said, if you are a tinkerer, if you are someone who enjoys exploring with these products, we like to say we still haven't really found, where the ceiling is for what Gen can and can't do yet. We have a lot of great use cases for what it can do, and so we like to give those as examples. But there's so much more potential beyond that, and our users are finding more and more every day as well. So that's always helpful.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of them here. And there's I know that we have a bunch in the pipeline that Josh is going to work on. So you can look at some of these to kind of get detailed.
It's still in Gen on our side.
Oh, sorry. Hang on a second. How do I get to that? Hold on a second. Do a stop screen. Whoops. Try that again. Share screen. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Hopefully some of the stuff that I actually now I'm realizing probably some of the stuff I thought you were seeing you weren't seeing. Let me go. Oh, use cases. Here we go. Now you should see it.
Yep.
Right. So these are different videos that you can see on the site. Apologize. And you have the ability to kind of play around and look at those to add some, and hopefully people will tell us what they are, what they're liking and what they're not. Okay, now I'll stop sharing on there. So that's but anyway, that's Jen, and we like I said, we're onboarding in groups. If you are, if you are, I don't want to promise that when you're going to be coming on, but hopefully shoot me a note as well if if you have a really compelling reason why you want to start using it sooner. We can talk about trying to get your access a little bit earlier, and hopefully we will have but we'll hopefully have everybody on board in not too distant future if we are if we're doing our job well and we're getting people on board without problems. Okay, I think that's it, and I will end it here, and hopefully be doing one of these again in a week. And I'd like to actually on future streams to get some of our users on who can hopefully tell us a little bit about how they've been using the product. And this is something I think that we're learning about a lot of its capabilities, even if as our users are learning about them as well. So. That's what's exciting about this is that we keep finding things that we didn't know that it could do, and hopefully you guys will teach us, and hopefully we'll teach you some things too. Okay, well, thank you guys, and have a good rest of the week. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.
Bye.